welcome back to a mini episode of Oh My Menses. I'm your host, Corinda. Today I am reading an excerpt from one of my Corinda's Corner emails. These are the fortnightly-ish emails that I send out to my lovely community. And I also have a growing collection of different vlogs and blogs and naturopathic insights on a whole wide range of topics inside of an exclusive area on my website called Corinda's Corner. All you have to do to get access to that is join my email list for free. You can do that by signing up with the link below, join Corinda's Corner, or you can download my free cycle tracking guide and you'll automatically be put on the list that way. It's been really nourishing for me to write and send these emails and hear the responses from all of you. And I wrote this email yesterday on day 3 of my cycle, and I'm on day 4 today because that's how time works. And I really felt the call to read this out and share this in podcast format as well. If you like what you hear, please feel welcome to join the Corinda's Corner community, download my free cycle tracking guide. Let's see where it takes you. I've been thinking a lot about my absence from the internet, my business, and emailing you. Picture me, if you will, tail between my legs as I coyly offer you these words for your inbox, hoping that you're still interested in anything I have to say. A lot of my internal dialogue around this has been along the lines of, you've done nothing for your business in 6 weeks. You're lazy. You have to get a grip and do something. Please just send a goddamn email. And by the way, if you've ever struggled at all with procrastination, chronic illness, or fatigue, my thoughts are probably sounding familiar to you, and rest assured that you're not alone. Then, during a morning meditation on day 1 of my bleed, a time when I try my best to actively and actually do nothing, an insight landed, and boy oh boy, I immediately knew what my next email to you was going to be about. And so let me delve into said insight. While I create tailored treatment plans for my patients experiencing all sorts of menstrual complaints, one piece of advice remains universal, no matter who my patient is, no matter who's sitting in front of me digitally. Please take time to actually rest during your period. It's important for your healing. Or embrace the being part of you instead of the doing part of you. Or lean into the power of nothing. Funnily enough, these seem to be the recommendations that people struggle with the most. It probably comes down to the nature of modernity and capitalism, depending on where you find yourself in the world as you're listening to these words. There's constant pressure to perform, show up, work, and hustle to make ends meet. Our innate anchor, the original inner compass, is our cyclical body. But this gets overtaken, unfortunately, by these external demands and societal pressures. I think some women, and let me know if you relate, are resistant to nothing from a place of fear or a limiting belief that might sound something like, people will think I'm lazy if I do less or slow down. I'll seem selfish if I take time for myself. I can't ask for help. If I stop, what happens to X, Y, or Z? If I stop, what happens to the house? What happens to the bills? What happens to the kids? What happens to my husband, my partner, my girlfriend? What happens to my job? What happens to my business? You may even have niggling fears about what emotions, memories, or insights from deep within your psyche could arise if you stop. After all, when we stop the rushing and busyness, our body and mind take that as their opportunity to bring to the surface things they want addressed or attended to. And they don't always do that gently. Anyway, I want to make my case for the power of nothing, and why nothing isn't ever really nothing. Consider the season of winter. You may also like to consider your bleeding time as an inner winter of sorts. Things are darker, quieter. Branches are bare, fruiting plants seem barren. There are lots of browns and greys in the plant world, and less bright greens, yellows, pinks, and purples. After their autumnal layers have shed, Honestly, it can look a bit like death has got the better of them. It looks like they're doing nothing. But here's a reframe. Are they really doing nothing when their branches are bare, no colourful flowers blossoming, no seeds to be sown? No, of course not. That's not how the natural world works. They're not doing nothing. They are sensing, conserving, preparing. They are responding to their environment accordingly. It's not an ideal time to blossom or to bear fruit during winter. There are less resources, there's change in the air, and so it's time to conserve energy, to prepare for the next season that is coming, to cultivate an energy that maybe isn't so obvious. Yes, they may seem quiet and still on the outside, but what is unseen is the conserving of energy, drawing and preserving nutrients from the soil, working with what's been composting since autumn, collaborating with their nearby kin, other plants, trees, insects, birds and fungi, and recharging however they can with the resources they have. Is that nothing? They haven't spent all winter in an uphill battle against cold temperatures, frost, excess water and limited sunshine. They've sensed their environment, they've adapted accordingly, and as a result, they haven't burnt themselves out. So when spring inevitably rolls around, those trees are ready to grow and those flowers are ready to unfurl. Plants are intelligent, and they've been doing this for... you have an idea of how long they've been doing this for, right? This is how we should approach our own inner winters, that is, the time of menstruation. Now, I'm not usually a fan of using the word should, but in this case, I see so much imbalance, disharmony, and ultimately disease arise from too many women neglecting rest during menstruation. Pushing through at this sacred time, a time designed for restoration, I believe perpetuates the culture that we currently witness of female burnout. Women trying to wear all the hats, please all the people, do all the things at all times without missing a beat. Ignoring the seasons, dismissing their changing internal and external resources, neglecting their cyclical selves with ever-changing needs every single week or even day of the month. When what could be happening is a pause, a breather, stillness. And sure, it might seem like nothing on the outside. It may even feel like nothing to you. And yes, if you're not used to slowing down or resting, prepare to sit with some perfectionist and people-pleaser guilt. But you're giving your body a chance to recover, replenish, renew, to release what it no longer needs, the uterine lining of your last cycle, and to reflect on what it wants to call in for the cycle ahead. Can you view what feels like nothing, not as nothing, but instead as a sacred gift to yourself, so that you and your body can wisely and intelligently use your resources for the oncoming seasons, enabling the perfect balance of being and doing, creating and cultivating, recharging and exerting. And certainly, if you do experience chronic fatigue, any kind of invisible illness, depression, or battle with procrastination, I invite you to apply this reframe to yourself as well, not just at menstruation. Are you really doing nothing? Or is your body trying to recoup from something? Is your body trying to cultivate and or conserve resources for the next season? If that's not enough for your brain to chew on, I have a little more. Consider this. How one menstrual cycle starts, your period, informs the rest of your cycle. That whole cycle then informs the next period, which informs the rest of the cycle, which impacts the next cycle, and so on. If we're neglecting rest during our bleeding time, our inner winter, we're running behind for the remaining 3-ish weeks, the non-bleeding time of our cycle, the spring, summer, and autumn of our cyclical selves. If we spend a whole menstrual cycle behind, running on empty or taking from our future self, so to speak, That then rolls into our next period and our next cycle. This is no sustainable or wise way to live as a cyclical being. This pattern paves the way for creating more physical, mental, and emotional tension, period pain, heavier bleeding, inflammation in the body, lower energy, lower libido, less resilience, compromised immunity, greater stress, skin breakouts, unhelpful, unnecessary sugar cravings, and more dopamine-seeking behaviors like increased screen time, poorer attention span, and focus. Which one of those symptoms jumps out at you? Perhaps there's one or a few that you're currently dealing with, or one that almost has a sting to it when you hear it just because of how much it's impacted you in the past. Now consider how any one of those symptoms could have a ripple effect onto the quality of your whole life. Your relationships, your sense of self, your ability to do good work and to create, your ability to show up as your best self. And when you consider that all these things add up as brushstrokes on the canvas that is your entire life, you can see how tending to yourself during your period can quite literally influence your whole life. You are a cyclical being and you matter. And rest at menstruation matters too. There is a power in the nothing. And now you know, it's never really nothing. I hope I've done a decent job at convincing you of this. Feel free to let me know. Leave me a comment, message me on Instagram, email me. So please, dear listener, for a day, or maybe just an hour, or maybe even just a few minutes during your next period, do nothing. And you can tell your boss that your naturopath ordered it. And you can give him that kiss from me. Nah, maybe don't kiss your boss. I hope you enjoyed this little excerpt from a Corinda's Corner email. Once again, you can join the community for absolutely no cost using the link below. Or you can download my free 25-page PDF cycle tracking guide to understand your own menstrual cycle phases and how to expand your body literacy horizons and feel more empowered in this seemingly confusing cyclical body of yours. But once you get the hang of it, she's pretty bloody great. Until next time, take care. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Oh My Menses. If you have a special request of something you'd like to hear me talk about, or you have any questions that you want to ask me, please drop me a line at hello@corindaholistics.com.au. I would like to acknowledge the land and country on which I live, work and create, that of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I honour their connection to land, sea, flora and fauna across this country. I pay my respects to the elders of these communities, past, present and forthcoming.